Today, I'm ranking all 32 NFL franchises by their historic performance in the Super Bowl era. If you like this video, consider subscribing since it's free and it really helps me big time. So, number 32, we have the Houston Texans. No surprises, right? They were established in 2002, so they haven't had enough time to catch up with the next team. But they were doing really good before all of Watson's drama. They've made the playoffs in 30% of the years in the league, which doesn't sound like much, but it's actually more than some other teams like the Chargers or Panthers. They're just the newest team in town. At number 31, we have the Lions. They're actually quite close to the Texans despite joining the league more than 30 years prior. They've made the playoffs just 12 times, and recently the team seems to be heading in an even worse direction. Not even Matthew Stafford was able to save them. This franchise could soon fall to the 32nd spot. At number 30, we have the Jaguars. They're also a fairly new franchise, but they're already a better one than the Lions. They've made the playoffs 7 times in their short lifespan, but what stands out the most is their miraculous season in 2016 when they almost reached Super Bowl 52. That moment pretty much gives them the edge over the Lions. On to number 29, where we have the Cleveland Browns. Prior to the Super Bowl era, they were quite good, but after the merger, they just disappeared. They managed to make the playoffs for the most part of the 80s, but they just got 2 postseason appearances in the last 25 years. They're trending downwards, and their current team seems to be laughed off pretty regularly, and no, they're currently not contenders. Then at number 28, we have the Cardinals. They have been a very bad team in the Super Bowl era, and they've made the playoffs just 2 more times than the Jaguars, in more than twice the time. However, they did reach a Super Bowl, something that none of the teams mentioned before did, and that's what gets them the edge. But they lost that game, so there isn't really anything that could convince me to put them any higher up. At number 27, we have the Panthers. Just as the Jaguars and Texans, they are fairly new to the NFL, being established in 1995. They found some big-time success, making the playoffs 8 times and reaching the Super Bowl in 2 of those years. However, they lost both games, and even though they've been relatively successful, they're just too young to be ranked any higher. At 26, we get the Chargers. They seem to stay afloat most of the years and managed to reach the playoffs 14 times, which is really good compared to most of the teams I've already mentioned. They had a Hall of Fame quarterback in Philip Rivers, but they never managed to win a Super Bowl despite getting to one. They might be able to climb higher in the next few years as their future is looking incredibly bright with Justin Herbert. At 25, we have the Falcons. Had they kept that lead, they would be at least 5 spots higher, but they didn't. Matt Ryan was a star for them, and the franchise made a name for itself, getting to the playoffs 14 times and to the Super Bowl twice. But getting there isn't just enough. They lost both of those games, and now they're widely known for the 28-3, which proves this franchise has close to nothing to brag about. At number 24 are the Cincinnati Bengals. They've been solid throughout the decades, having some big ups and downs in the recent years, seeing them go from playoffs to first overall pick to Super Bowl. And they actually got to 3 of those, so they have been pounding. Problem is, they won neither of them, so they're yet to raise the so acclaimed Lombardi Trophy. At number 23, we have the Bears. They're one of the oldest teams in the league, so their 17 playoff appearances aren't quite as impressive. They've made the Super Bowl a couple of times, but what gives them the edge over the Bengals is that they actually got to win one in the 1985 season. Regardless, they've been around for so long that they really should have way more accomplishments. And that's the reason why they're so low for such an historic franchise. Up next are the Titans. With 22 playoff appearances, they are closer to the midfield than they are to the bad end of this list, but they're still stuck in mediocrity with no Super Bowl wins. They've been quite strong for the last couple of years though, so even if they don't win a Super Bowl, they might be able to snag just a spot or 2 in the nearby future. At number 21, we have the New York Jets. Even though they have 8 less playoff appearances than the Titans do, they won a Super Bowl. You might not remember it since it was over 50 years ago, but it happened. The Jets have been irrelevant in recent history, but that Super Bowl victory certainly keeps them afloat in these kinds of rankings. Cracking the top 20, we have the New Orleans Saints. If I'm keeping it real, they're incredibly tight with the Jets, and recent success is what made me go for them at 20. They also have 14 playoff appearances and a Super Bowl win, but that Super Bowl win was much more recent and didn't involve any sort of cheating controversy, unlike the Jets Super Bowl III victory. Up next, we have the Buccaneers. Before Tom Brady's arrival, they had made the playoffs just 10 times and won 1 Super Bowl, being arguably out of the top 25. However, the greatest of all time joined them, so 2 more playoff appearances and 1 more Lombardi was added to their name. So even though they were completely awful during most of their existence, they now have 2 Super Bowls, and Tom Brady played for them, so I like them at number 19. At number 18, we have the Buffalo Bills. They could have been at the very top of this list, but
things just got out of hand.
They've reached the playoffs in 18 occasions, and they've made the Super Bowl 4 times, and those 4 were in a row. The problem is, they couldn't manage to win a single one of them, granting their fanbase unlimited suffering. They have a bright future though, and if they manage to win a Super Bowl or 2, they could make the leap all the way into the top 10. At number 17, we have the Eagles. 5 years ago, they had just half the Super Bowl appearances than the Bills did, alongside with 24 playoff appearances. However, their great 2017 season came to a crack with a magical Super Bowl win over the Patriots. They made quite a leap with that one game, but they aren't really that close to the next team. We're on the other end now with the Chiefs. They won a Super Bowl in the early stages of the league, and their case seems similar to the one of the Jets. However, since 2018, they found top-tier success with Patrick Mahomes, giving them straight playoff appearances and a second Super Bowl win. Even if they were seemingly gone, spending multiple decades without a Super Bowl appearance, they're back, and they could climb these standings in the blink of an eye. At 15, we have the Seahawks. Despite having less playoff appearances than both the Eagles and the Chiefs, they can make their case as a better franchise, especially since they've been good for much longer. They only have one Super Bowl win, but their Legion of Boom and Russell Wilson dominant era certainly helps them case at number 15. However, they are definitely in danger to fall to the Chiefs within the next few years. At number 14, the Baltimore Ravens come in. Despite being one of the newest franchises in the NFL, the Ravens have found a lot of success getting to the playoffs 50% of their seasons. In their short lifespan, they've managed to get 2 Super Bowl wins alongside with multiple division titles. They've been in the league for a very short time, but they're already making their case to get into the top 10 soon. On to number 13, Minnesota Vikings. They are a rather particular case, similar to the Bills one. They reached the Super Bowl 4 times but weren't able to win a single one of them. Why are they ahead of the Bills, you'll ask? Well, the Vikings have the 3rd most playoff appearances in NFL history, trailing only the Cowboys and Steelers. They could even make their case to be higher up, but their lack of a Super Bowl win is definitely holding them back. The 12th spot goes to the ones called Redskins. They were way higher on the franchise rankings a couple of decades ago, having a pair of Super Bowl wins and multiple playoff appearances. However, they've fallen quite a lot due to the recent lack of success, getting to the playoffs just 5 times in the last 20 years. If they focus on playing football rather than on changing the entirety of their franchise due to people not knowing the origin of their previous name, they could certainly be better. Just missing out on the top 10, we have the Rams. They have quite the resume, getting to the playoffs 25 times and reaching the Super Bowl in 5 occasions. They got to win 2 of those, one of them last year, and their team looks to have a somewhat bright future. To open up the top 10, we have the Dolphins. They have been in a huge playoff drop recently, making the playoffs just once since 2010. However, prior to that, the Miami Dolphins were amazing and arguably a top 5 franchise, having 2 Super Bowl wins in 5 appearances. And remember, one of those wins was under an undefeated season back in 1972. That accomplishment is something that has never been repeated and easily the main reason they're still in the top 10 despite their recent lack of success. At number 9 are the Colts. They have the same amount of Super Bowl wins as the Dolphins but managed to reach the playoffs one more time than them. Having them ranked above the Dolphins is certainly a hot take, but the Colts have way more recent success and they've been more stable than the Dolphins after their downfall. Regardless, one could argue either one of these teams being ahead and it wouldn't really be a problem for me to see someone have the Dolphins ahead. On to number 8, Las Vegas Raiders. Despite having just 5 playoff appearances this decade, they're in a group that very few teams are able to get into, the 3 Super Bowl group. The Raiders got their shot at a 4th one but couldn't make it, so they're sitting at number 8. However, one more championship can mean quite a lot, especially with how close they are to the next team. At number 7, we have the Broncos. You'll see, the Broncos have been to 8 Super Bowls, which is second most, tied with the Steelers and Cowboys. They weren't able to make the most out of them, losing in the first 4 times they got in. However, they won in 3 out of their last 4 appearances, which certainly helped them get comfortably into the top 10. At number 6, we have the Giants. Nowadays, they are a pretty bad team, and they have just 16 playoff appearances, so why are they this high? Well, in 25% of their playoff years, they've won a Super Bowl, being one of the 2 NFL teams to have 4 Super Bowl victories under their name. However, they can't even be compared to that team because of the recent years, but they have such a great history that ranking them any lower would be a mistake. Rounding up the top 5 are the Green Bay Packers. Despite being just 1 spot above the Giants, they have stretched the difference by a big margin. They've been on the very top since the very start of the league, winning the first 2 Super Bowls. They're also full of history, having players like Brett Favre and Bart Starr play for them. The 4th place goes to the 49ers. They have made the playoffs 26 years, being dominant ever since the 70s. Their 5 Super Bowl wins are tied for second place, and had they won the game against the Chiefs back in 2021, they would have easily been in the top 3. But unfortunately for them, that didn't happen, but they're still comfortably sitting at number 4, being one of the most successful franchises in NFL history. The third spot goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Their 34 playoff appearances are the most in the league, so they've been good for quite a long time. They peaked in the 90s, winning 3 of their 5 Super Bowls in that decade, but haven't been able to replicate that success ever since. Regardless, this franchise is easily in the top 4. I could see them behind the Niners, but stats don't lie. And finally, the number 1 spot can go to either the New England Patriots or the Pittsburgh Steelers. One of them has 27 playoff appearances, while the other one has 32. They both have record-setting 6 Super Bowls, but the Patriots have reached it 11 times compared to the Steelers' 8. The two of them had record-setting dynasties for their time, and both are still somewhat good to this day. But only one can stand at the very top of these rankings, and it's going Pittsburgh, as they are crowned the best franchise in Super Bowl era. Followed of course by the Patriots by, believe me, a very small margin. Hope you liked this video. If you stayed till the end, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and until next time.